We're yappers.
We're yappers.
We are yappers.
Hi, my name is Rae.
I'm Star. We're the creators of Smooth Child.
Welcome to Black Carpet 2.
I feel like a lot of people believe because we're sisters, like it's easier to like work together, and it's quite the opposite. Like we definitely have like our sibling differences within like working with our brand, and then we also are two different people like creatively. We have completely different styles, ideas, ways of even like going about a design or a garment.
And you know how they say like, oh, never mix business with pleasure, but like owning your own brand with your sister is automatically doing that in a way. You know, when you have like a sibling argument or a family argument, like you have to like, we kind of have to balance those things or balance like our differences and put those things aside when we're in like professional spaces or when we're doing professional things. But on the other hand too, it can be equally as cohesive at the same time because we do have a lot of similarities, or we do have a lot of like, we've lived together a long time, or not a long time, or literally our whole lives. So we know how each other works, so we work in tandem very beautifully at the same time.
Yeah,
I wouldn't change it at all. We pretty much bounce off of responsibilities and we do things equally. Like it's not always, sometimes it's 50-50, but sometimes like we'll take over one thing for one another and while the other does the other thing. Like we both handle the social media for it pretty equally, but maybe sometimes like she'll write the caption and I'll like edit the picture, or maybe sometimes like she'll answer emails or handle like our communications and I'll handle like while I'm working on like hands-on work. When it does come to hands-on work, we are pretty much 50-50 with that though, like in our design process, sketching, like creation, stuff like that. So
we definitely like clock in together. We have like meetings every like a set day of the week, and then we allocate like when we're going to be working together because it's easier to work together. But I will say, as she said, it's not always 50-50. Sometimes like I'm in bed because that's all I can do for the day, and she's in the studio like putting in work, or vice versa. So it really just depends. But yeah. So Smooth Child technically started before we were even born. Smooth Child was originally created by our father and his best friend. It was originally a production company. My dad was a rapper and like a songwriter and things like that. So they formed Smooth Child as like a rap group. They both passed unfortunately, so we kind of took upon the legacy, and we are interacting with it in a way that like aligns with us. We always grew up really, really loving fashion, but not necessarily considering ourselves creatives. We didn't believe we were creatives until
like college,
I would say.
Literally.
And honestly, it wasn't even, going to college completely changed my life, going to the college that I went to, because it made me, and honestly her too, believe that we could do something creative full time and actually be designers. We didn't have to do, business fashion or anything like that. We could be designers directly hands-on in the fashion industry. We officially launched in 2020, like around our birthday, May of 2020. That's when we had our first photo shoot. We had it was so cute. We had a whole production. Our garments were like, they weren't the best, but we had videographers, we had 2 photographers.
We flew in one of our photographers from Atlanta just to shoot with us.
Like, we were so serious. And that's how we knew, like, wow, we're actually really passionate about this. The whole thing, like creating garments, designing, and then also telling a story through how we market our designs as well.
Honestly, it's been kind of a very interesting journey. I feel like even though we've kind of veered off from like, obviously we're not a rap group, we're a fashion design duo, but in this process, we've learned more about our dad just by like, you know, asking our mom questions about him, his creative process. Like I remember when we were younger, when we lived in Georgia, we had like a studio in our house, and I remember him clocking into that studio, like making songs with like, you know, his best friend and like other creatives in the Atlanta community. So I always like to reminisce on like memories that I have throughout this process as we come across new obstacles, new ways of thinking, new different ways to approach things by like going through our mom, maybe looking at photographs. Like honestly, it gets a little like touchy-feely sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like it's a very special thing that we're able to do, that we're able to connect with him, because he died when we were 7, so we don't really have a lot of like memories with him like through our developing years. So I feel like in a way we're able to connect with him through our craft.
Being in BFR is a full circle moment for that as well, because our original logo was actually designed by Iman's dad. Like, they were friends growing up in high school as well, so it's just like a full circle moment. We still use that logo to this day. That's what the logo is in our show. So it's just like completely full circle.
It's okay.
When we started, we were definitely still figuring out like our brand identity. We've had conversations about this so many times to reach to like the point that we're at right now.
We just had one yesterday, literally.
Yeah, exactly. We're always evolving. But when we first started, we very much so were trying to be like other brands. We were directly inspired, or I guess influenced by brands that from people that we went to Howard with, and we wanted to be like them so bad because we're like, okay, so they're doing it, we got to do it like this. So we did like, we were very minimal color, black and white, and like denim. That's like all we focused on.
Mainly denim.
Mainly,
honestly.
yeah. And we tried to go for like the Rick Owens aesthetic and like alternative in that way. And we kind of realized that that's not really, that doesn't align with us. We realized that we need to approach it like, what clothes do we want to wear, and representing our individual identities within our brand, and like creating an amalgamation of that between our, like who we are individually. We took a year gap, I think, in like
I think it was 2022.
2022 maybe, to
Yeah.
kind of refocus. We had to have a long conversation, multiple conversations about what's our brand identity, what are we trying, like what story are we trying to tell, and what, I guess, I hate the word aesthetic, but for lack of better words, like aesthetic are we trying to portray? And we realized we don't have just one. Like in our daily lives, we dress however we want to dress. One day I'll, look like a tomboy. The other day I might look like a princess. Like it doesn't really matter. And that's how we should be approaching it. Not only that, but we have different styles that we align with individually. So it'd be beautiful to combine that so that people can see that there's two people behind here with like, even though we look alike, we're not the same. So we just wanted to approach it from like an identity standpoint, especially because growing up, it's hard to individualize ourselves because we are twins. People see the exterior and they're like, you're the same. And that's what
You're one person. Do you look in the mirror when you need to or do you look at each other when you need to look in the mirror? Like stupid stuff like that. And it's like, we really wanted to define our identity through this process for sure. We wanted to keep the roots with us as we evolved. There was a point in which we were like, should we redesign? Should we like change the logo? Should we adapt? But oftentimes we come to the conclusion that we shouldn't, because not only does it represent that legacy that we're bringing with us to what we're doing now with Smooth Child, but it also kind of does represent like the versatility in our garments and how we want to flow throughout our creative process. So we may start one way, we may have one collection looking like this, and the next collection can look completely different or completely left, and another one can be completely up. So like you said, it is super dynamic and it is super like exactly flowy. So I feel like it represents our fluidity and our versatility in our process as well.
That is so dope. You guys are incredible.
Thank you.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
I really like BFR, like as an organization in general. I like what y'all do. I think y'all are organized, professional, and very personable, like to work with as people. So I'm really excited. I want to make sure that I am, I guess, like making myself proud, but like making y'all proud too. Making sure I'm like coming like hard. Honored to be chosen as well. It's the first time I'm working with y'all, so I'm really excited, but really, really nervous, I will say.
And honestly, this is kind of our first fashion show that because we've done 2 other fashion shows, but we produced them ourselves. So this is kind of our first time. We might have did like another one at some point, but this is our first time doing one within our own like direct community. And like I feel like this one is really going to have a strong impact. I love what it represents. I love what it speaks for. And like Star said, just what BFR stands for in general. I'm really, really excited to be working with you guys.
Let's go back. You guys produced fashion shows.
It's hard, let's say that. It's very, very hard, especially when you don't have a team.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's hard when you do have a team. When you don't have a team, handling all of the different logistics, yeah, it's very difficult. And then also being the designer, also being like the marketer, also doing this, that, talking to this person, that person. It's very, very difficult. Our first fashion show was July of 2023, right? 2023?
Yeah.
Right? So it was in due time. What was the reason for putting that on? I think
we wanted to kind of make ourselves known in the Buffalo community. We felt like nobody really knew who we were. Like when they looked at us, they were like, "Oh, the models," but nobody knew us as designers.
Like, y'all design clothes?
Yeah, nobody knew that. And then even after that, people were like, "Oh, you guys are Smooth Child?" Like it was a really interesting journey coming into the fashion space as more than just like a model or more as just like a creative director. So with that, we wanted to kind of make ourselves known. And then we did Alchemy last summer.
September?
No, last summer. It was in July too, I think.
Oh, okay, full
Yeah,
circle.
full circle, literally.
Oh my God,
So that was Alchemy, and that is the fashion show and the project that really like caught people's attention, because we dropped that whole creative video with Lukman as the videographer, and that like people are like, that video was dope, like that was so. Then it was honestly. Our fashion shows have been very kind of symbolic. Like In Due Time was representative of like, okay, like we said that all the time in 2023. Like we'll get our chance in due time. Like in due time, everything will fall into place. And then things kind of started falling into place. And then Alchemy is like, the transformation of like making something out of nothing. And that's kind of what our clothing represents. Like we do a lot of upcycling. We take just like fabric that we find at the thrift store, dead stock fabric, and just rework them into something different. And not just like, oh, I'm gonna place like my, just a little here, like a little here, there, whatever. But like we completely redefine the garment entirely.
We're playing with a lot of texture this time, a lot of fabric manipulation, teaching ourselves new techniques, and also working with techniques that we've learned in the past. I have this one particular piece that I've been working on for months now, even before y'all asked us to join this show. And I'm so excited for it. It's like a completely like braided textured dress. I don't even have it because I wanted to, it's awesome. So I was never gonna show that today. I was gonna wait. But it's like a braided dress, completely from head to toe braided, with like strips of fabric. And that's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited about it.
We've also, for this collection specifically, we wanted to pull a lot of inspiration from our childhood and kind of what influenced us when we first realized we were getting into fashion. And I don't know if you guys know what this is, but like when we were like 12 years old, we were heavily inspired by like the scene queen era, and that's kind of like a emo era. Like they were like emo girls who like were more colorful. So they had like the teased hair with the raccoon stripes. They had like
the
layered socks, the
bro.
knee-high Converse, which I don't know if y'all seen those rocking those right now, but I said we wanted them shit since we were 12 years old. And they had the knee-high shoes. That's why I'm even wearing these today,
like,
honestly. The like RAR XD. So we kind of wanted to pull inspiration from that era, but transform it into like a more modern and more, I guess, grown, still it girl, still like a little cunty, but like alternative black girl cunty. Because I feel like alternative like black people don't like, if you're like in the black community, honestly, if you are alternative in any sense, you're like, get told like you're not black enough or whatever the case may be. So we really wanted to just like kind of like pay homage to that and like what inspired us in our childhood, but still kind of modernize it and make it fit our current aesthetics as well. We do have a piece in here actually that we can show you guys. It's like a drapey skirt situation, so it has this long asymmetrical fronts. Just imagine it like it on me. You see what I mean? And this is kind of one of our tamer pieces, but it speaks to like the color that we're playing with, the texture that we're playing with, the asymmetry, you know, stuff like that. So
it's like a bandage top style top. I don't know if you can see the back too. Can you pull it down a little bit?
yeah,
Thanks.
it's like bandage. Hold on, this is like it's tucked in, but you can
get
just
the point,
you
right?
get the
It's
point.
like a bandage style, like think like gauze, like wrapping gauze around bandage style, and you can kind of play with this. You could do it like a little halter. You could do it completely off the shoulder. It doesn't really matter. It's like a bandeau top, and there's more here. I have it tucked in right now, but more here. You kind of play around with texture and like kind of making a garment any way that you like. Multi-wear garment, I'll say. Multi-wear.
And that's our take on like your basic white tee.
Or
honestly.
like,
yeah.
or like, you know them Silent Hill nurses? I don't know if anybody knows the movie Silent Hill. Y'all know the nurses and they do like. But talking about
Look, just
those
Google it
inspired
afterwards.
by-
Y'all know what we mean. Y'all will. Honestly, like we just want to make a name for ourselves in fashion. We want to make a mark on the industry, kind of like you know, like when you think of JPG or like Schiaparelli, like those are like game changers in the industry. We want to be considered one of those fashion houses or one of those like fashion duos. Our mission towards sustainability and like how that affects the fashion industry as well, since a lot of our pieces are upcycled or used from like sustainable garments or sustainable fabrics, sustainable dyeing practices, et cetera, et cetera. So we also want to kind of tell a story through that as well and how that impacts the environment as well.
Engage with other artists. That's also a big focus too.
Big focus, yeah.
Music, poetry, it don't matter. Visual artists, it does not matter. I want to engage with artists of all kinds.
Yeah.
You can go on Instagram, type in Smooth Child, just plain Smooth Child. Right
Smooth
now,
like our brains, child like a baby,
yes,
smooth child.
And right now we're taking orders through like DM. We're working on building our website, and that's coming very, very soon. So yeah, find us there.
Thank you so much for interviewing. You guys were great.
Thank you.
Y'all were literally the best.
Thank you.